Retro.
Today's show is brought to you by our patrons over at patreon.com/Animaniacast. Thank you so much to McCoy, Marjorie, Sir Zeke, Leslie, Alex, Marie, The Cartoon Gamer, Kyle, Christian, Brian, Martin, Patrick, and The Guaranteed Engine. Yes, these folks are helping keep the lights on at the Animanicast, and they're getting bonus audio with Tom Ruger. So if you'd like to become a patron yourself, head on over to patreon.com/Animanicast today. And thank you, patrons. And welcome, everybody, to another Freakazoid episode of the Animanicast.
Yep. Something very strange is out there.
Oh, hello!
And welcome to my humble abode. Cheese nips?
Let me tell you something. You pray for good coffee like this.
This is the Freakazoid, not to be confused with the Freakalair, which is where I keep the Freakmobile and my other neat stuff. The Freakazone is a secret place inside Dexter Douglas's mind where I spend my quiet time reflecting on life and watching reruns of Rat Patrol. Now that's entertainment! The Freakazone is also where I have profound thoughts. Here's one now.
Take over Switzerland. Get all the chocolate.
Off the top of my head, what do you want from me?
And welcome, everybody, once again to another episode after a long hiatus of Freakazoid and Friends. Yes, this is the spin-off series of the Animanicast, and this is the only podcast that lets you freak out about Freakazoid. Yes, here we talk about a random episode in sequential order, and we revisit all the cultural references and gags that we can find, and of course, in the end, we're going to give this episode of Freakazoid a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again are my co-hosts. There's my birthday brother, Nathan.
Is it just me, or do I keep showing up later and later in each episode?
And across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Nathan's birthday. We're recording this on Nathan's birthday. So happy birthday, Nathan.
Happy birthday, Nathan.
That's you, Nathan.
Oh, I'm not allowed to tell myself happy birthday?
I guess you can. That's okay. I guess there's no rules against
There's no rules against it.
No rules. Okay, so anyway, today we are talking about episode 11 of Freakazoid, which features Next Time Phone Ahead and Nerdator or Nerdator. Whatever. Joe Leahy says it in today's episode.
Nerdator.
It's such a weird word. We know Predator.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nerdator should be the way. But
I would think that's right.
I think that's it. But at any rate, it's a great episode of Freakazoid. And if you're looking for these episodes of Freakazoid, well, unfortunately, they're not streaming on Hulu. You can purchase the streams, I believe, on Apple and Amazon for a few bucks. And you can, of course, get the DVD, which I believe this episode has a commentary track on it, which is always nice. But the DVD is a little hard to find right now. And, of course, you can always go to salacious places online, which I'm sure, which have some pretty poor quality streams of it. But wherever you happen to find it, watch this episode and listen to this episode.
That's good. If you get the DVD, this one has audio commentary too.
Yes.
So it's kind of like.
Speaking of audio commentaries, Paul Rugg put out a thing saying he's thinking about doing some audio commentaries for Freakazoid episodes.
Ooh, we should put that on our Patreon.
I think, yeah, exactly.
Lock it behind the paywall and be like, hey.
No. I think he's doing that on his own, but is going to be that'll be a fun, cool thing.
I wonder if I'm going to say we should take credit by having Tom do Animaniacs commentaries that influenced him.
Did we influence Paul Rugg? I don't know. Did we?
I think we did. I'm going to say we did. I'm going to just.
Well, if you want the Animaniacs commentaries, let's get our plug-in for Patreon out of the way. Patreon.com/Animanicast.
Do that. It's for my birthday. Do it for my birthday.
Do it for Nathan's birthday. Become a patron. Well, let's talk about this episode of Freakazoid, however, which has, ironically, a lot of Animaniacs in it, too. Mm-hmm. If someone were to ask you about this episode in just a few words, what would you tell them, Nathan?
Elliot, I'm back.
And Kelly, what about you?
How Spielbergian.
I thought you would say that. This is probably the most Spielbergian episode of Freakazoid. Without a doubt, I think.
So it only goes downhill from here, is what you're saying?
No, there are other. This isn't the only Spielbergian episode.
No, there is more Spielberg to come.
Oh, okay.
There is more Spielberg. Don't you worry.
Don't.
But this is definitely the most Spielbergian.
Yeah.
of all the episodes, without a doubt. Before we get into today's discussion, Nathan, why don't you tell us, when did this episode first premiere?
Okay, well, Joey, this episode premiered on Saturday, February 3rd of 1996, which was the same day as an Animaniacs episode, Dot's Entertainment, The Girl with the Googly Goop, and Gunga Dot, that came out the same day. This day marked the end of the cartoon show Dumb and Dumber. Oh. And the temporary end of the show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was later picked up again in 1999. And it was a day after the release of the semi-Tommy Boy sequel, Black Sheep.
Yeah. The let's do Tommy Boy again, but not make it good sequel.
We have like same kind of characters, same kind. It's take out the heart and
exactly. Just have
keep some of the jokes. We got some humor and
just Chris Farley flopping around the place.
Yeah,
there you go.
But none of the it does miss the heart for sure.
Some interesting stuff. Dumb and Dumber, I do remember vaguely that cartoon, and it was not good.
They also had The Mask around that same time.
Yeah, it was like and Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura. They're like, oh, we could do that. I think that one probably did the worst. I think was Dumb and Dumber because what are you supposed to do in that show? I'm guessing that had the shortest runtime.
Maybe, perhaps, but yes, this of course is Kids WB time, and we were talking about how for our bonus audio this week we talk about how it's so hard to get new episodes of Animaniacs during this time, and they sure do reference it a lot in this episode here of Freakazoid.
But we had a new one today, so it didn't even matter. So.
Exactly.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. I know. Well, that's the thing, because Kids WB was also very hard to get unless you were like in one of the major cities and willing to.
No, I wasn't there for the bonus audio. So.
Oh yes, that's right. Well, you weren't there for this episode or Kids WB either, though.
Yeah, you didn't see this episode when we. Yeah, so.
I didn't watch any of that Dumb and Dumber, Tommy Boy, whatever. Either.
You didn't see Black Sheep?
No. What is no?
Oh. I think I've only seen 75% of it, which is more than most people I think should give it. But at any rate, let's. Roads. Let's go ahead and talk about this episode of Freakazoid, and we're going to go ahead and start with Next Time Phone Ahead. And Next Time Phone Ahead was written by Tom Ruegger, and it was directed by Eric Radomski. And Kelly, this one is for you. What happens here in Next Time Phone Ahead?
Okay. It pretty much opens up like E.T. the Extraterrestrial. There's a spaceship comes down and the aliens are like, it's only a 5-minute pit stop or whatever. And these people, you don't see their faces, but they come in on trucks, just like, they do in E.T. I know in E.T. it's like the government, but I don't know who these people are, to be honest. But
they're rednecks, I think.
I guess. And they're out there, looking and trying to find out what's going on. And one of the aliens gets left behind because the ship realizes there's people out there looking for them. And so they're like, come on. And so they leave one of theirs behind. And then the rednecks or whoever they are, they find a roll of toilet paper. And then get a call, something about Bob Saget.
What did they want here?
Beats me, but watch your step.
Hello. Yep. All right. Myrtle says Bob Saget's on Leno. Come on! Yeah!
So then we cut to Freakazoid's house, and he's got to go take the trash out. And again, this echoes E.T. when E.T. goes. Elliot goes and gets the pizza, and hears something out in the shed. But this is all the overturned trash cans, everything. He thinks it's a cat, and starts talking to the cat.
Chubbikins, you come out here this instant, you bad cat! You're not Mr. Chubbikins!
Then he gets eaten by a monster. I mean, it didn't even look like one of the aliens. It's sort of like a silhouette, and it's like a monster. And I was like, what? Okay, this is cool. It's E.T. But then it got amazing, because then we see Steven Spielberg, and I was like, oh my god. So stop laughing. And they're at like a story meeting, or everybody's sitting around the big long table talking about it. And he's like, so then what? That's the ending. And they say, yeah, we thought we'd end this episode of Freakazoid early and do Animaniacs. He's like, oh, okay.
Where's Freakazoid?
Well, he's not in this episode.
Not in it? Well, he's the star of the show. What are you thinking?
Well, we were thinking of maybe ending the episode early today.
And showing some more Animaniacs reruns.
Oh. I like that.
It's time for Animaniacs.
And then they start the opening of Animaniacs. I'm like, wow, this is getting better and better. Now we're going to get some Animaniacs on here. This is great. But then right before the ending of the opening, he's like, no, we can't do that. We'll make that whole thing a dream sequence, and it's actually, he doesn't get eaten. We need to do Freakazoid. Come on, let's get back to it. He gets his bag. It's called like Chateau Blanc, which is White Castle. Duh. Like the hamburger.
Yes. And
gives him a hamburger, and brings the alien up to his room. No Reese's Pieces. No. And it's Bo-Ron, and it's the alien. And so they start hanging out, and he lets them live there, and keeps trying to hide him from his parents. And at first they kind of act like they don't see him, even though he's in the refrigerator and he's ginormous. And
he's sucking on a gallon of milk. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, and then he tries Freakazoid. What's his Dexter?
Dexter, yes.
Dexter tries to pass him off as like a monkey, a pet monkey, and they don't really buy that. So they're not so oblivious.
So I tried to pass him off as my new pet. He's a rare Peruvian spider monkey.
Ooh, pretty Amy, good monkey.
But Mom and Dad didn't buy it. So finally I told them the truth. He's from another planet, and I'm gonna keep him.
No, you're not, Dexter.
Why?
He takes up too much room.
But worst of all, he keeps tying up the bathroom.
And he forgets to use the fan. That's just plain inhuman.
He's like, you gotta go back home. So, this is where the ET phone home bit comes in, and they're on the roof, and they have this contraption made. He's like, so what's your phone number? He's like,
You know what, big guy? It's not really working out. I thought it'd be neat keeping you here, but it's getting kind of funky. So it's time for you to phone home and have your folks come and get you. You know your number?
I forget.
What's the area code for Baroni's?
area code?
Well, who's your long-distance carrier?
I'm not sure.
I found to my grave concern that Boron hadn't decided yet on his long-distance phone company. So AT&T, MCI, and Sprint fought a pitched battle over who would provide service.
All these long distance carriers are battling to get Boron's patronage, and I can't remember which one wins.
I think it was Candace Bergen, which must have been, I think she was Sprint, I want to say, or maybe it was MCI. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But Candace
MCI's
Bergen,
not even around anymore, are they?
No, MCI
heard.
was one of the phone people that they mentioned, and I'm like, oh, MCI. God, I
Yeah,
haven't heard of them in a long time.
Same with
I think Sprint ate them up or something like that.
It's like when I finally was rewatching Mannequin the other day because I hadn't seen Mannequin in forever, and Andrew McCarthy was tweeting about mannequins, and it's like, I got to rewatch Mannequin, and there's a commercial inside on Mannequin in Mannequin for Eastern Airlines.
Oh gosh,
it's like, oh, yeah, that was back in the day. So, anyway, he figures out what his long distance carrier is, and he calls, and he gets the answering machine. He's like, they always have the answering machine on. Like he's talking to it. He's like, I know you're there. Pick up. So they keep calling and call it all night, and then they finally get a hold of somebody, and then the ship comes and picks him up.
Goodbye, red underwear man. I will never forget you.
And so, Boron went home.
He left me with lots of fun memories. And something else even more special.
Dexter?
A phone bill you wouldn't believe.
Then, they're back to Spielberg, and they're talking. And then they decide that Animaniacs reruns are the better option.
It goes right back to that.
So, yeah, so Frank Welker was Spielberg.
Yes.
And sounded pretty good. And it was really cool.
I really wish Frank Welker could do it was still doing Spielberg in the reboot. For whatever reason, I don't know why he's not doing it anymore, but I really love his Spielberg.
He probably costs too much. I mean, the amount the man charges for an autograph is ridiculous, and he doesn't even personalize it. And yeah, I'm still sore about it.
I don't think we ever talked about ever naming him we never called him out on name on the podcast for your bad experience with not getting personalization.
I mean, he wasn't mean or anything, but it was like, well, what made me upset was my boyfriend got a personalized autograph just because the line happened to be shorter.
Oh.
Up to him, but I paid the same amount and I didn't get a person. Like they go through the line and say, well, he's not going to personalize. He's not going to do it. I'm like, well, I've already prepaid. Like I paid before I even got here.
Oh no.
There weren't any Animaniac photos or anything.
Oh man.
So I was like, I paid like $100 for a non-personalized photo for a character I don't even care that much about.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, I mean, he was nice, but I'm still sore about it.
Well, we all I like this episode quite a bit. There's a lot of references to get through, so I think I'll just kind of go through the Wikipedia here, which has a lot of good stuff because, like we had mentioned before, there's a commentary track on the DVD for this. So if you're able to get that DVD, check out the commentary of it.
Is Spielberg on the commentary?
No, he's
They mention his name, I'm sure.
They do, yes. And speaking of mentioning Spielberg's name, I had a question when I was watching this, which always bugged me as a kid, where you have Boron, and I'm like, I thought his name was Moron. Like, why is his name Boron all of a sudden? So now that with great power comes great responsibility, and my great power is that I have Tom Ruger
on speed dial.
I have him on speed dial, so I could text him and ask him questions. So I said, "Hey Tom, if you got time, I got an incredibly stupid and unimportant question to ask. Are
Why do hot dog buns? Oh, never mind.
Are Moron and Boron the same character?" So, and I said as a follow up, how did he get so big? Because he's a little guy at the beginning of it, and I said I assumed it's from just eating the trash and then the cheeseburgers or something. I don't know how that happened. Well, Tom responds, Boron and Moron are the same character. Okay. When Steven saw the first Moron cartoon at the White House in the first episode, Steven said, "No more of Moron." But Tom had already had him in the next Phone Ahead cartoon, so to honor Steven's request of no more Moron, he changed his name to Boron.
Nice.
And he said,
I was wondering why, like, as a kid, I would say I die in Boron.
Yeah.
Instead of Moron.
Why didn't Steven like him, though? I mean,
I don't know. Who doesn't like Moron? I loved Moron. I used to always, like, in high school when these episodes were coming out, I would always just go to my friends and go, "I am Moron." I love that character. He's such a stupid, silly thing. But Tom also does say that Boron and Moron are both big eaters, or whatever. I guess they're the same character. So he is a big eater. He comes from the planet Barones, which is basically the pizza planet. And he eats several pies a day. So there you go. That's why Boron or Moron, or the two different versions of him. So anyway, there's a lot of other cool references in here. Obviously, the E.T. is very strong in here, but it's not just E.T. I mean,
E.T.
It's not just E.T., but it's like the specific shots are being done really well. Like going through the woods, like you get to see the lights going, the trees, the framing. Instead of showing the man with keys rattling at his side, it's a cell phone rattling at the side. Mm-hmm. Even Dexter going out. Yeah, what was that? Yeah.
Not a walkie-talkie.
Not a walkie-talkie.
No walkie-talkies.
Yeah, walkie-talkies and guns or whatever it was changed to.
Goodness.
But even like I noticed when Dexter was taking out the trash, there's a shooting star, and there's a shooting star in that scene with Elliot.
But I didn't notice any of the silhouetted. They had the moon very prominent, but I didn't see any like real silhouettes against the moon unless I missed it.
Oh, I don't know about that, but some of the, I guess.
Well, you know, that iconic E.T. shot.
Right, yeah, of going across the moon. Yeah, they could have done that, but it was mostly borrowing from the beginning of E.T. for the most part.
Just saying, it could have been there.
Could have put it in. We had the ship was in there, which I thought it was cool that in Spielberg's office, which if you look at the writer's room that they're in, it's that Amblin building, the Southwest motif all there. What did they call it? I forgot what... John McCann called it in his discussion with us a few years ago, like Casa de Spielberg or something like that. I don't know exactly, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, at any rate, so little touches like that were neat to see. Moron or Boron calls himself Pretty Amy, and that's because in Congo, that's which is another Michael Crichton book that got turned into a movie.
I should have gotten that, but it's been so long since
I got it right away because we would always quote that in high school. pretty girl, pretty
Amy. Yes, apparently Paul Rugg,
Amy, pretty girl, pretty.
Yes, Ruger, Rugg, and McCann had gone to the theater to see Congo during the production, and according to the Wikipedia, found it amusingly terrible. So. And the Congo does come back later.
We'll see it again later, but no spoilers for Kenny. I'll make sure.
Yeah, I'll just say Cosgrove's involved. That's all I'm going to say.
The book was good.
I remember the book being okay. I don't remember it being one of my favorite.
It wasn't one of my big favorites, but
White Apes.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see. We talked about the telephone wars back in the day with. They had so many back then. Just go with us for your long distance carrier.
They would name out the other company by name. Like Sprint would be like, "Oh, you don't want to go to AT&T because."
Rat Patrol was brought up a couple times in this episode, which, I mean, that's a reference for kids of the 1960s. You know, this is.
Isn't there a They Might Be Giants song called Rat Patrol?
Yes, but I don't know if it has anything to do with the actual TV show involving the. I think I remember my dad laughing at certain things of this episode, and Rat Patrol was, I think, one of them.
Did either of y'all ever get like phone bills like what he got at the end?
I did.
Same.
I did, especially when I dialed. They used to have 1-900 numbers for kids to call, like joke lines and stuff like that, or Nintendo helplines or something like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would call those and just think, okay, I'll just do the first minute and then hang up. But I would do that because it was like 99 cents for the first minute, and then $5 for additional minute, something crazy like that. So my dad had to do lots of calls to AT&T, like, my son didn't know, and they'd appeal it and refund it and everything.
Yeah, well, when I started meeting people online, we'd call each other sometimes and talk for hours, and I didn't understand about long distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it would cost, but I got like a $350 bill one time, and my mother flipped out.
Kids today, they have no idea how much of a how good they have it.
They don't even talk on the phone, though.
Well, that's true. Now it's all texting.
Yeah.
It's texting or messaging, but when you do need to do a voice call, you can do one very easily, free online using the internet
and see their face even and do.
Yeah,
It's crazy. The times have changed.
It really has. So, anyway, there's a lot of cool lessons right here that Freakazoid gives. He tells us, safety with scissors.
Never run with scissors.
Yeah, run with scissors. No.
He talks about the 4 basic food groups.
The 4 basic food groups are ice cream, candy, cakes, and very large cakes.
Large cakes.
He talks about what you should make sure that you're doing when you're signing a contract.
Always ask for a piece of the gross, not the net. The net is fantasy.
Piece of the gross.
Talks about cartoon lessons.
Never try to catch a roadrunner. It's impossible.
Okay.
Roadrunners,
Yeah, what to do when you're making sure that you when you're in your parents' room, what you should not do.
Stay out of your father's underwear drawer. Trust me on this one.
Underwear drawer. No.
But it talks about how important vegetables are.
Eating carrots gives you x-ray vision.
X-ray, good.
And I liked when Steph, who is in the Freakalair for some reason, as one of Freakazoid's assistants.
She's like
she was wearing some short shorts in this one, let me tell you. Boy, oh boy, Steph's outfit. But that part where they're talking about x-ray vision, and you could see Steph like clocking in or out, sees that they're testing out x-ray glasses, and she runs out of the room, was amusing, and also nothing you could do today at all. But
don't forget Yo-Yo Ma.
Yes, well, that's in the next one.
Oh. Well, I got excited about Yo-Yo Ma.
And of course, Diane Sawyer, who's still on
it's
TV.
the last lesson, yeah.
Yeah, Diane Sawyer. These are lessons of life. These are important things.
Diane Sawyer acts sincere, but she's actually faking it.
Yeah, faking it.
I do remember my dad, when we were originally watching this episode, watching it with us and laughing uncomfortably loud when he said, "Don't look in don't look in the father's underwear drawer. Trust me on this one." And I was just like, "Dad, no, I don't." Anyway, so at any rate, there's other little things. I guess there's even like an LP by Herb Alfred with a naked or semi-naked woman on the cover, buried in whipped cream. And according to the Wikipedia, this references the album Whipped Cream and Other Delights by 1960s trumpeter Herb Alpert and his band, the Tijuana Brass.
Yeah, they look very similar if you look at them.
Well, there you go.
There's the Tumblr reference guide for Freakazoid, and they have the picture side by side on there.
There we go.
So the room that has all the the writers and everything, those are caricatures of everyone.
Yes. Do you have the
actual?
Can you list off all the names that are on it? Because I know it's written on the thing.
It's written, but I have. So if I look at the Tumblr or the wiki, so there's two names that they don't quite know because there's a consensus between all these other names.
Well, maybe if I can figure out who it is, I'll put it into post after this, and if I can't, you won't hear anything different.
Well, I'll list both what they either one it is. So of course we have Tom Ruegger. So this is Steven Spielberg looking at the room,
right?
So on the far left we have Tom Ruegger, and then next it's either Peter Shin or it's Ronnie Del Carmen.
Yeah, Ronaldo Del Carmen or Del Carmen.
And then the next it's either Rich Aarons or Scott Geralds. Yeah. So it's one of those two, and then everyone else there is consensus. So then it's Haven Alexander, Dan Reba, and then we have
Emmett Nervin's head sticking up, barely up.
Jack Heater, Mitch Shower, Gene McCurdy, Paul Rugg, and John P. McCann.
Yes, and Paul Rugg and John P. McCann both do their voices too.
Yeah, so
which is nice. So we have the full writing or producing crew of Freakazoid right there, which is cool to see. It's behind the scenes stuff. Which there's more in the next segment too, which is this episode has a lot of it. But at any rate, I think that's about all the major references that we have. What did you guys think about this episode? Nathan, let's start with you.
I thought it was funny. I liked when Freakazoid was trying to teach Boron life, and just Boron repeating the things back, like running with scissors. No.
I like the piece of the gross, and he's eating Oreos. Which Oreos really, I mean, even as a kid, I remember eating a bunch of Oreos and then smiling to show how gross it makes your mouth look.
Yeah.
Is that was funny. Kelly, what did you think of this first cartoon?
I liked the E.T. stuff, and I liked seeing Steven Spielberg.
Yes, I thought this would be like, okay, I think Kelly's going to like this one. Kelly, of course, did not grow up with Freakazoid or anything like that. So, selling these episodes is, it's a little tougher to an adult. She doesn't have
the nostalgic. Yeah,
exactly. So. To me, it's good with or without nostalgia, but,
Was Boron dressed as the monkey from Indiana Jones?
He did say he was a Peruvian spider monkey, which is kind of like, I think that's kind of what the monkey was in Raiders.
But he kind of looked like a Boo.
Yeah,
he was kind of dressed
that's
like a
true.
Boo as well.
Maybe it was a Boo.
I did like that though. Also, when the mom was talking about how he takes up the bathroom and then he doesn't turn on the fan, and so I'm like, oh man, that would be pretty bad because Boron. Boy, oh boy, he can barely fit into those shorts. He's
talking about short shorts.
Shorts. I know. Nobody should complain about Steph wearing short shorts. You should focus on Moron. That guy, he needs to wear some slacks. Really, it's not.
And a shirt. We get a shirt that fits.
Get a shirt that fits. Although I know I mentioned it the first time when it was Moron. I love just the right and left on his shirt, so he knows which way is right and which way is left.
His voice is just so funny.
Stan Freberg does the voice of Boron, who's no longer with us, but he was around for a very long time. Does a lot of classic Looney Tunes characters, and was just a great satirist in his own right. So I always like when Stan Freberg is involved. He did the voice of Cecil in Beanie and Cecil in the 50s. So he was around doing stuff for a very, very long time. So he's cool.
Hi, this is Paul Rugg, voice of Freakazoid, and you're listening to the Animanicast.
Well, I think we should just move ahead and go right into the next section, and that is Nerdator. Nerdator was written by Paul Dini, and it was directed by Jack Heater. And Nathan, why don't you tell us what happens here in Nerdator?
Well, so we have a mystery going on. Mysteries afoot because nerds around the world are disappearing mid doing things. I don't know. Like one nerd's trying to ask a girl out, and then she's like, just disappear, and then he does.
Dry up and blow away.
And then like another team's like the baseball kids are trying to like pick teams or whatever, and they're like, I don't want these nerds. And then the nerds disappear. Like, good, no nerds around.
Yeah. Play ball.
Play ball. It's great. And then more famous nerds like Bill Gates disappears. That's right. By name, mention Bill Gates.
Because
he's friends with Steven Spielberg. Another name we get to drop because he's the executive producer. He also disappears while making his sequel to E.T.
Yes.
So another E.T. reference.
Well, Elliot about to make out with some girl on the couch.
Take one.
I'm back, Elliot.
And I'm grown up. Go away.
I don't know. Would
first
Elliot
scene.
really be that young? I feel like in the late 90s, Elliot would not be. Maybe he would be in his 20s. I guess he'd be making out with a girl. Like,
that was about the time he was in Legends of the Fall, and Suicide Kings.
So there, he was in his 20s, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think he was like in his early to mid 20s.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like Act 1, Scene 1, Take 1.
The movie's going to open very. I don't know about Steven making this E.T. too. For the longest time, he said no sequels to E.T.
Well, actually, I think Legends of the Fall was a lot earlier. But anyway, that was like.
No, we're talking about the sequel to E.T. About how this is a bad setup.
This is the first scene of the
first scene of the movie is Elliot making out with a girl and Elliot being bothered with.
I'm back.
Yes. Bad timing, dude.
A bunch of nerds at a Star Trek convention also disappear.
Ooh, hey, look, a tribble!
That's my hair.
Oh.
Funny, they usually vanish after I sing Rocket Man.
So, we got even hosts of sitcoms, like Tom Snyder, I think it is.
Yes, Tom Snyder, who
he disappears.
He was a talk show host. He was doing the radio. I think he did the Late Late Show. So after Letterman,
he's considered a nerd, just like Kathy Lee.
Yeah, Kathy Lee, who for some reason was on backstage at the Tom Snyder show.
I don't know.
It doesn't quite make sense, but he's just grabbing everybody he can.
They're all disappearing. In fact, the last person to disappear for some reason is Dexter Douglas, is the very last nerd to be taken.
I think I'm the only one on the internet tonight. It's like all the other techno geeks just vanished.
The Nerdator comes to his house and
does this personally.
And gives him a whole supervillain exposition of why he's taken too. So it's kind of nice. And going through and saying all politicians are nerds, except for Newt Gingrich. And I would think Donald Trump wouldn't count as a nerd nowadays.
I think
right?
both. I think no. Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump are both chubby boys, as the Nerdator would say.
To be a politician, you either need to be a nerd or a chubby boy.
No, you don't be a chubby boy. No,
you can be a politician, or I guess you're not a politician. They weren't politicians, we'll say.
They were, yeah. Well, you can be a politician, but if you're a politician that's a chubby boy, then he doesn't want you.
You're not a nerd, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange thing. Well, in any case, his plan is to use some sort of device to take all the brains of all the nerds or whatever and put it in his own head and take all their powers of being a nerd. But then Dexter says, freak out, turns into Freakazoid, and Freakazoid convinces the Nerdator that it's bad to be a nerd because the girls don't like you and you'll get bad acne and you'll be obsessed with pen protectors. And the fact that the girls didn't like him really upset the Nerdator.
Very much.
And worst of all the cute girls will want to just be friends.
No, that's not true, is it?
Steph?
You're such a nice guy. Why spoil our special friendship?
No!
He decided to his plan. Instead, he took all the vapid, handsome people, and then he's going to take on their powers, I guess. And
to get the girls, I guess. And nobody noticed. which was also
no one cared.
No one cares that that all the hunky guys are now taken. So,
and that's how it. And then so it just ends like that. So,
well, there you go. This was a fun episode. A lot of references here. Let's just go over as many as I can. So we have. We talked about E.T., Bill Gates. I was a little confused why all the people watching Bill Gates' presentation were also not taken, but maybe they're members of the media, perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Like the fact that they weren't taken, but like Kathy Lee and the other hosts, like Tom Snyder, like I was like, they're nerds. Like, are they? Like,
yeah. Well, Pope John Paul II was in here. The Pope. He was very happy.
He should be a nerd, right? Learning all that about the Bible and everything.
Exactly. Oh, what a nerd. He knows so much. But then they had a guy that kids today would have. There was a long segment here. We're talking with Kato Kalin is like now the president or something because all the nerds were taken. And Kato Kalin was a witness at the O.J. Simpson trial. And in this, he says like, "Oh, I thought I heard a bump." And
I don't remember.
I don't remember. And it's all referring to his testimony at the O.J. Simpson trial, where they were trying to determine if he heard O.J.
Murder.
or whoever the murderer was. O.J.
Allegedly, yeah.
O.J., please don't sue me. Actually, I'd love that. I'd love O.J. Simpson to sue me. That would give us such great press. So I'm going to say O.J. murdered. He's the murderer.
I'll say allegedly, so I can't.
Oh, darn. Okay, well, otherwise. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Yo-Yo Ma was mentioned, as Kelly was mentioned. So, Kelly, have you seen a Yo-Yo Ma concert, or are you just a fan of Yo-Yo Ma?
No, I'm mostly familiar from his work from when he's worked with John Williams. He's cellist, I believe. I always get my instruments messed up, but he worked on 7 Years in Tibet with John Williams, and then also Memoirs of a Geisha, and then he also was one of the I think it was a 4-piece. I guess you'd call it an ensemble as opposed to an orchestra that did the composition that John Williams did for President Obama's inauguration. So he's just one of the preeminent musicians, and I follow him on Facebook, and he's done a lot of music and things like that to keep everybody's spirits up. And so he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. He's been on Mr. Rogers back when Mr. Rogers was still alive, and he's a prodigy. I mean, I think the first time he was on Mr. Rogers, he was like a teenager, and he was already
that's right.
wildly successful. I think he'd already played for presidents at that point, because I looked him up, and he owns a Stradivarius cello, I think. I mean, I usually think of Stradivarius in relation to violins, but it's worth millions of dollars. So he owns, very nice musical instrument.
Well,
I always think of Seinfeld when I hear Yo-Yo Ma.
Yo-Yo Ma.
It's Kramer's catchphrase in that one episode.
Well, there's, I guess, of course, this whole thing is sort of the design of the Nerdator is based on the Predator. Although I think it's kind of on his belt instead of human skulls or anything. It looks like he has the skulls of Tweety Bird and Bugs Bunny on his belt, which I thought was a little funny.
Oh, see, he reminded me of a monster in one of the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, okay.
That's who came. Was it Moloch? Something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, he looked different enough so that they couldn't get sued, I think, definitely. Mm-hmm. He was more of a robot-looking guy.
Yeah, but Predator makes more sense with the title of the cartoon.
The Nerdator, yes.
Well, and he has his little braids kind of sticking out of the back, kind of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nerds on Nerd Island. Stephen King and Anne Rice and John Grisham are all writing some stuff. I saw Garrison Keillor in the back as well. Let's see. Maybe the director Jack Heater is in there, perhaps. There's a lot of directors. We have Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. There's a short guy who the wiki said was Danny DeVito, but I don't know. It didn't look like Danny DeVito to me. It kind of looked like either Oliver Stone or I don't know, Martin Scorsese. I couldn't really tell. It was a weird. Whenever it's a caricature, it's always like a guessing game. Did I mention? Let's see. I mentioned Clint Eastwood and George Lucas and all that. So there was a lot of them. It says also Tim Burton was there, which I don't know about that Wikipedia, but okay, sure. I didn't see it. Mickey Mouse is in the White House, by the way, when Kato Kalin is became president. He put a big Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
At any rate, so Dexter is put into a cage with many of the people who worked on Freakazoid. Scott Gerald's, Tom Ruger's in there, Mitch Shower, Dan Reba, Bruce Timm, and Ronaldo del Carmen are always some of the people that are in there who are getting electrocuted when Freakazoid finally shows up. Let's see. Any other little things? I mean, they mentioned kind of like there's Brad Pitt and Fabio and Keanu Reeves are at the end with the hunky guys.
Yeah, Pamela Anderson is first lady, maybe, or something.
Yeah, maybe it was just this girl with blonde hair.
Well, it's a Baywatch. I
guess it was a Baywatch swimsuit. I guess. Yeah, I guess it was Pamela. It had to be Pamela Anderson. She was big in the 90s. And anyway, William Shatner is singing Rocket Man in it, which if you've ever heard William Shatner sing Rocket Man, it's pretty iconic.
I think he should have been singing "Ba Ba Black Sheep." Have you any wool?
That would have been fantastic. But
I would have loved it.
At any rate, and Freakazoid mentions DreamWorks when after Spielberg gets zapped and vanishes. So.
They mentioned Tribbles too, if you're a big Star Trek fan.
Oh,
the Tribbles are
yes.
those
little hairy ball things.
Hairy ball things with the stupidest plot points.
When they couldn't think of anything else to make, they're like, well,
they're multiplying. Yeah.
Just throw a bunch of hairballs down on them. Well, anyway, there's a lot of references in it, a lot of stuff. But what did you two think about the episode in general? Kelly, let's start with you.
I thought it was okay. It has Steven in it.
Yeah, that's always a good plus. Nathan, what do you think about the Nerdator?
It was fine. I like the. I wanted more Freakazoid, I guess. So the whole time I'm just like, when is Freakazoid going to show up? Which is why his first line is great. But
yeah, why is it taking so long for me to get back in these?
Yeah, and I did like the sequel to E.T. Just the concept of how bad that would be.
There have been some good parody sequels to E.T., although I don't think there'll ever be a real sequel. I did like the horror film version that was put on YouTube, which you can find, which I'm sure, Kelly, you're familiar with that, right? You've never seen the horror? E.T. comes back and it's like a horror film?
Is it just like a trailer?
It's sort of, but I think that, who's the actor who plays Elliot again?
Henry Thomas.
Yeah, Henry Thomas actually does do like new lines for it and everything. I'll send it to you later.
Oh, no, I don't know if I have
I'll
seen
send
that.
it to you.
I saw the commercial they did a few years ago, which was so cute and heartwarming.
Now that is heartwarming. Now that is very
Super Bowl commercial. Yeah, that was.
I may or may not have cried. I'm not saying.
I know, and just for a commercial. Now that was really done well, though. That was like, if you were like, the first version of it is like E.T. comes back to protect the Earth from other ETs who are trying to kill everybody, and it's kind of a mashup of new footage and footage from other movies with like Drew Barrymore. So when they needed to show like Drew Barrymore's character, they just kind of show her in a different movie and make it look like she's in
never
this
been
one.
kissed. And
yeah, it's but I'll show that to you later. It's still pretty funny. But at any rate, good stuff. I think we should go ahead and get to our Water Tower rating. What do you guys think? Out of 5 water towers, how many would you give this episode of Freakazoid? Nathan, let's start with you.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to give it like a 4. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
I thought they were really cool. I really liked the references to E.T. And I just want more quotes though from Freakazoid. There's not a lot. Like watching the episode, I was like, oh, I got to think of something to say at the beginning of the episode, and I couldn't. I was like, there's not a lot of like quotable lines from this episode. Which is like what I think it's missing.
Okay, and Kelly, what about you?
I think I might give it a 5. Because I think you're right. It's probably gonna be my favorite episode. So I don't see myself liking anything more than this. And it was such a nice surprise and joy to see them, animate Spielberg and the whole E.T. thing. And I think this is as good as it gets.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it. I'm going to go right in between you two. I'm giving it a 4.5. I do really like both segments a lot. I don't know, as much as, and I wanted more Freakazoid, but at the same time, I liked how this episode had more Dexter than usual. Mm-hmm. And even how it switches the narration at one point in the first one, like Freakazoid starts the wrap up of the story and then Dexter ends it. So, but at the same time, that kind of doesn't make it as funny as it could be, because Dexter by himself is not he's funny, but he's not funny like Freakazoid. So it is missing just a little bit of spark, but both are really, really good.
Both strong segments.
I would highly recommend this episode to somebody who's like, if you're just going to pick a few episodes of Freakazoid, this would probably be on my list of like the top 5.
And last week's The Cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
2 great episodes in a row.
There's some good stuff, but as we go forward in the series, Dexter becomes less and less prominent. Other than Dexter's Date, which is a whole other one, which is very funny, but. At any rate, I think let's go ahead and get to our contact information. Nathan, where can people reach you online and say happy birthday?
Yeah, I was going to say happy birthday to me, even though it'll be a couple days late, but that's whatever. Django FT, that's me.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODA, PRNCSS, or email me at kelly@bigshinyrobot.com.
All right. And as for the Animaniacast, we're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And, of course, over on Discord at the RetroZap Discord server. You can join us to talk about Animaniacs or anything pop culture with any of the other RetroZap podcasters and writers. So to get a welcome link to that, just go to discord.animaniacast.com. And become a patron. We love your support. You can get great bonus audio of us talking about stuff. And also, more importantly, Tom Ruger giving audio commentaries for each and every episode of Animaniacs. So we'd love to have you join the fun over there. That's patreon.com/Animaniacast. All right, well, that'll do it for today's episode. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
If I take Meatball, you gotta take Doofus.
I always get stuck with Doofus.
They're gone. Cool. Play ball.